So it's that time of year again. Medicare Annual Enrollment, October 15th to December 7th. And I do have one good piece of good news for you, in that you should, and I could put it should, I'm predicting you're going to see less of those Joe Namath TV commercials promoting Medicare Advantage. And the reason why is CMS, which is the Center for Medicare Services, put the clamps on the lead companies. So these aren't even the insurance companies running these ads. And many times they're not even the insurance agencies, are called FMOs. It's not even them, they're a lead company. So they're an independent contractor, and they've been able to operate really outside of the law, because they're saying, we're not in the insurance business. We're not in the Medicare business. We're just the marketing company. And so then they hire Joe Namath or whoever else they got on there, or whatever their mail or TV commercial deal is. Now, that's not always true. Sometimes there's the actual insurance company themselves, like Humana, United Healthcare, Aetna. They're running an ad. But the bulk of these ads that you get so annoyed with are typically from a lead company. And so last year they said that these lead companies, we got to know who you are. So they went to the insurance companies and they said, if you're paying money to these lead companies, you can't pay that unless these companies are registered. So they got a little look at it last year, or the year before last, and then now they've passed in their final rule that they can only sell your name when you respond to that thing to one agent or one agency. And you say, well, that's what I thought they were doing all along. What was happening before is you would put your phone number and your address and your date of birth and your email address, or whatever you have to give them, in there, and they would instantly sell that to 20 call centers. And then those 20 call centers would call you 20 times. So you would get 400 calls, and consumers have just complained so heavily that Congress, and then passing through to Health and Human Services, through to the Centers for Medicare Services, through to the insurance companies, put the clamps on this. And they've said, okay, we need to know who you are, you marketing company. We need to know how you're paid. We need to be able to track the money, because it's coming from the insurance companies or the insurance agencies. And then we also, once you effectively sell this name or this respondent, you can only sell it one time. Now, that one time can still call you 20 times. But I'm just thinking you're going to see less ads and you're going to have less phone calls. But that's counting on the fact that people are following the law, because you're still going to have outliers out there that are calling you, contacting you, and they're not following any of the regulations. So that is one good thing, that in this Medicare CMS final rule, which none of you would even know what that is or pay attention to it, that's a good thing about marketing. Now, what I want to do is I want to bring Tom on, and I want Tom to share like why we're doing this video today.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this video because this is the time of year where you are able to make a change on certain things, like primarily the drug plan or Medicare Advantage plans. But there are some changes coming, right? I mean, they passed these laws and it affects what happens with these plans. And so we want to walk through first kind of what are the options, what choices do you have, but primarily really talk about what to expect for this upcoming year. Because our prediction is these plans are going to look, different in 2025 than they have the past several years. And so let me bring up the show notes. You'll find these on the link below our video. They're also on our website. Again, today's show notes are pretty light. It's just a picture of the board. Print it out. If you can't see it on your phone, you can print it out, see it a little bit larger. But again, I think we want to walk through first kind of what is the difference, right? I think every time we do a Medicare video, I think it's important that we focus on this, because most people, and this might be you, still do not know really the difference between a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, or which one they have. And oftentimes they're mixing up pieces of one. They think it applies to them, it doesn't. They think they have something they don't actually. And so I think it's really important that you know exactly which camp you fall in, which side of the board you're on, the left side or the right side, understand how they work, And then from there, from that position of knowledge, you can start making good decisions. So I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. We have other videos that go more in depth on this, so I don't want to spend too long doing it. But on the left side of the board, we have original Medicare paired with the Medicare supplement. So if you stay with the original Medicare, that covers roughly 80%. It's more specific than that. But a Part B of Medicare, it covers 80% of the cost, and you are left with 20% out of pocket if you don't buy a Medicare supplement. You say, man, that doesn't sound too great, or maybe it's not that different than what I have. The big difference from like what you have prior to Medicare till now is there is no cap to those Part B expenses. That 20% is unlimited. And so you need to have other insurance if you're sticking with original Medicare. That's where most people will sign up for a Medicare supplement. It fills in that gap, oftentimes called a Medigap plan. It fills in what Medicare doesn't pay. It can cover that 20% with really minimal out of pocket costs. And so again, we have other videos that go more in depth there. Some of the big advantages of this is there are no networks. So if you're with original Medicare and a Medicare supplement, you can see any doctor that takes Medicare and they have to take the supplement. You don't even have to ask them, do you take my plan? They have to. And so that's a really nice benefit. You can go see the specialist, you could go to the Mayo Clinic, you could go to Mass General, doesn't matter. As long as they take Medicare, they have to take the supplement and you don't have to worry about it. So that's a real big benefit. One of the downsides, if you want to call it that, is there's a cost, like there's a premium for the supplements. It depends on where you are, your age. And so I don't want to quote any prices on this show. Call us if you want us to run those quotes. But there's a cost there. And then what it doesn't cover is the Part D, the drug plan. And so what you'll do is you have original Medicare, you have a Medicare supplement, and you will sign up for a separate Part D drug plan that covers your medications. We'll get back to that in a second because that's something that's being affected by some of these changes for 2025. Let's switch over to the right side of the board. Again, this is sort of the other direction you can go. Medicare Advantage plans. This is different than Medicare Supplement. You are privatizing your Medicare coverage. Medicare is sort of pushing you off of their roles onto a private insurance company, which isn't all bad, but there are some differences there. One thing that you do have with the Medicare Advantage plans is you do have to worry about networks. So if you're on the Medicare Advantage side, you do need to make sure your doctors take it. You need to make sure that if you get a new doctor, they will accept that plan. If you're going to a hospital, you'd want to make sure it's in network. So that's something you got to keep an eye on, which is different than original Medicare. Some of the nice things, some of the things that makes these attractive is the cost. There are a lot of plans on Medicare Advantage that have a zero premium. So you're not paying anything for it. That is really attractive to a lot of people. It also includes some additional benefits like gym memberships, maybe some dental coverage, maybe some vision coverage. Again, the specifics of the plan are dependent upon the plan you pick, but a lot of those include some additional benefits there. And it's just it's a nice, a low cost way to get some of these additional benefits. But again, a big difference is those networks where you have to stay within the network and do something like that. So again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds there. We have other videos where we go more in depth on the differences there. But I think before we start explaining what's coming in 2025, first I want you to identify which side of the board you're on. Do I have a Medicare supplement with a drug plan, a standalone drug plan, or do I have a Medicare Advantage plan that includes the drug plan with it? I think I failed to mention that. A lot of times the Medicare Advantage plans include the drug coverage with it, so you don't have to sign up for a separate one. So I'm going to turn it back to Hans and he can explain a little bit what's coming in 2025 and what we expect. What, some of this is sort of our predictions, but I'll let Hans explain that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I see is your Part D plan or the drug plan, whether you're on the original Medicare side, you have a supplement, and then you have a standalone Part D. And then if you're on the Medicare Advantage side, your Part D typically just comes with the Medicare Advantage, and you're not being individually charged for that, especially if you have a zero premium. So, and you've got Part D again, and the change upcoming, it's due to your insurance company that you have this with is going to have to pay out more benefits in 2025 than they did in 2024 because the government passed a law part of the Inflation Reduction Act that changed this thing. It's a little bit confusing, and the Medicare piece of the Inflation Reduction Act was just a small little piece passed by Congress. And Congress didn't really put up any money. They didn't say, well, we're going to just throw in a bunch of money now that we're going to cap people's out of pocket expenses, Medicare beneficiaries, at $2,000 for the whole year. They didn't put up any money for this. So annually, or more often than annually, but in the summer, before the summer, in the spring, you've got CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare Services, part of Health and Human Services, meeting with the Medicare Advantage companies like United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross. I mean, all these companies that sell this stuff. And the way they make money, or the way they can afford to do this, is that for every Medicare beneficiary that they move onto a Medicare Advantage with their company, the government sends a check over to them. So instead of providing benefits to you on original Medicare, now by your election, you've gone to a Medicare Advantage plan, and the government is just paying this insurance company to provide Medicare benefits to you. So every year they meet and they talk about what those fees are going to be for next year. And then they specifically, the government, CMS tells them about changes, things they want to see in their Medicare Advantage plans. They look over their profitability, that kind of thing, and then they negotiate. And then these companies, these Medicare Advantage companies, the insurance companies, produce bids to CMS, or just for review. They're going to say, we're going to charge XYZ for this Medicare Advantage plan. Yeah, that's going on right now as the bids are going back and forth. So I truly don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to speculate a little bit here without causing alarm for people. Is this $2,000 cap on out-of-pocket expenses for Medicare? I'm a Medicare Part D enrollee, and I've paid probably $1,000 out of pocket, my deductible, plus a bunch of co-payments for different drugs that I've had so far through the year. Maybe I'll get up to $1,200, $1,300. So I've had a lot of stuff this year. Talking to some of my clients, the producer of our show, he's on a Part D plan. He's paid like a couple of $100 out of pocket. So this thing is not going to affect a lot of people, but who it is going to affect, and I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad it's going to affect them, is the people that like have cancer, and there's some new revolutionary drug that costs $10,000 a month, and they're on it. People with leukemia, that I can just think of a client that's paying out a ton of money for this drug that is a miracle drug, and he gets to his maximum out of pocket, by March, because it's so expensive. And that maximum out of pocket has been $6,000, $8,000 a year. And now by legislation, his is lowered to $2,000. That's a good thing. I'm happy about that. What I'm not happy about is nobody put up the money for this thing. They just gave the benefit, and it falls on the insurance company. And the insurance company says, well, we can't pay for that. So who's going to end up paying for it is the consumer. And how much that's going to be, I don't know. And for people that have a Medicare Advantage plan that just includes a Part D, and it has a zero premium, the insurance company is going to have to account for this somehow. So let's not speculate. You can just wait till you get your letter, or you can get something in the mail from the insurance company, or you can wait till October 1st. We're not going to be able to see these changes until October 1st. We can go into the computer and look at it. So all we can do is speculate until then, but I just sense that there's going to be a change coming, and it's going to be seen rather drastic to some of you. And if that happens, this video was made for our customers. We have about 5,000 customers that are on Medicare supplements that pay us money for that. Most of them have a standalone Part D plan with us. And then we have about 1,000 customers all over the country. We're in all 50 states and DC that have a Medicare Advantage plan that includes a Part D. So we're going to be available. And my sense is our phone's going to be ringing off the hook. So call us early. But this video was made for our customers to tell you you're going to get it in an email. You're going to get it a couple of times in an email. And when you're watching it now on YouTube, you feel free to give us a call and get ready for this. Send us an email. We'll get you on the schedule. And then when we actually have real facts to look at and we can see the landscape, we'll help you move some of this around if that's what's necessary. And in terms of financial planning today and the 7 worries, this has been limited to Medicare. So I want to bring Tom back on and see if Tom has some more to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Han said, is we don't fully know how this is going to play out. We don't know what the new pricing is going to be. We do know that if you are on a really expensive medication, this will likely be beneficial for you, right? There's some people on very expensive medications where they're paying a lot out of pocket. So this will be helpful for some people, but I think there are some people that might have to have a higher premium. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. But again, when things change, sometimes there's unforeseen consequences. We just need to be ready. We're here to help. Again, October 1st is when they'll release the new plans that we actually get to see what the real plans will be for 2025. And we'll, like Han said, I think we'll be fairly busy during that time, just making sure our clients are in the best spot they can be moving forward into 2025. And so, kind of with everything, is things change, we adjust, we react, we make sure we're doing the right thing. We stay up on this stuff, so you don't always have to be in the know of what's going on. But I just want you guys to know that we're watching this. We know there are likely some changes coming, and we can help you get in the best spot possible.
So with that, I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you very much for listening to us today.
Thank you.